What's up, Dumbmarks? Welcome to episode 183 of the Dumbmarks podcast. You got the full usual suspects here today for you this Saturday morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Here. Doing good?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kind of catch up on sleep after WrestleMania weekend?
No, sleep. What's sleep? I don't know what sleep is. Sleep. Nah, first off, I don't know what happened during the countdown to the show, but I had no video playing, so I don't know if there was.
Mine hasn't been on for a
video. Yeah, mine hasn't been on for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. I just heard music and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So this is, you know what I mean? We're off to a great start today. Wow.
It plays on the video, like on the show, because I've gone back and checked it, but for whatever reason, we're not seeing it.
I said this is a shit. I said this is a shit show before we started, and then no video plays, just music. I'm like, oh, we're off to a great start.
I wasn't paying attention. I just know to look up.
Jason's wearing a shirt. He's concerned about people's mental health. Meanwhile, he don't give a damn about anybody. Just wasted $25 on that shirt for no reason.
Pretty much.
I'm a little more concerned that Jason's got all AEW figures behind him today. You okay back there?
It was the easiest thing to find right now.
I didn't even know you owned that many AEW figures.
It's
He got more set changes than a Beyonce concert. This dude, every single time we go live, he got on.
It's different.
Change it up. I like it. Love the new set.
Jeez, oh man.
What's your proudest collectible over there for AEW?
It gotta be Chris Jericho. You gotta be Jericho, right?
That said none of them.
He's got all those. It doesn't like any of them.
Tony Storm.
Yeah, meanwhile,
Tony. You would know,
yeah,
Jay Cargill.
Okay. Yeah, Jay. I'm telling you, this dude with the fakeness right there. Look, but notice he said Tony first. So
Represent
in the comments.
Yeah, Jade's on the Jade's on the bottom shelf, and he got Tony up on the top shelf so you can see her.
What's up, Mars? How you doing today?
Mars, thanks again for tuning for hopping on and doing some run-ins over WrestleMania weekend for Podomania 4. We appreciate you guys coming in and sharing the breakdown and the knowledge that you guys give your audience each and every single week. So thanks for linking up with us as always. Hoping to do some more crossover pods as we work on 2024 moving forward.
Mars is in the comments. Taekwon's always doing his thing in the comments already. So
Cody finished his damn story at WrestleMania, so I guess I got to finish my story and actually send out Taekwon's shirt. I was hoping Roman was going to win, and then that was going to be my comment to Taekwon. I'll send you your shirt when Cody finishes his story.
You said it.
Yeah. But,
we said it was in the harbor.
Yeah, it is in the harbor. That's right. That's right. It's in the harbor. Too soon.
It's the week of Mania Fallout. Definitely was trying to get caught up, watching the Fallout, watching some other stuff, but kind of thing I think I want to kick off the show with this week for the topic. Kind of the title of the show, Wrestling Beef in the Grind. A lot of wrestling pettiness this week. So I kind of want to, what do you guys think of wrestling pettiness? There was multiple things for wrestling pettiness this week. It wasn't just one. So was there something that stood out to you guys that you would want to talk about? Steve, I know you sent over the thing about wrestling beef this week. You want to kick us off with the topic?
So I'm always on here championing wrestling beef, right? I love wrestling pettiness, but considering what's going on with the rap beef world right now, I feel like what AEW did on Wednesday night was just like what J. Cole did with his apology at Dreamville Fest. They killed their career Wednesday night. There was no reason. There was no reason to air that footage at all. They did nothing at all. And you kind of weaved it in the storyline with FTR and the Bucks. Okay, you can use this as a setup for Jack Perry, the scapegoat, to come back. Okay. But it drew the biggest number as far as a quarter-hour rating goes.
I didn't even see the numbers.
And then everybody left, and you still only popped 819, which is the highest it's been in a couple months. But like, you didn't get nowhere near 1 million. You didn't get over 1 million. You had people chanting CM Punk in the arena.
Mhm.
Nobody
the video.
Nobody talked about your show. Nobody talked about anything on the show, and there was good stuff on the show on Wednesday night. They started off hot.
Yeah.
Swerve attacking Samoa Joe. You don't know what's going on with that. They did a nice little weave in, to lead up to Joe actually coming back out in the main event wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Penta and Adam Copeland go out there and put on a hell of a match. Copeland's out there doing head scissor takeovers like he's 25. And Penta, I've been a huge Penta mark since Lucha Underground.
No.
The man is a star. And he goes out there and puts on that type of performance. It's like, okay, well, there's another guy you're not using right.
Exactly.
But there was a lot of things.
Is Phoenix hurt again?
He's been hurt with a back injury.
Okay.
So there's no. I haven't heard anything about any type of timetable for him to come back at all. I know it was a serious back injury, so yeah,
He gonna be out for a bit.
But the one thing that people were trending and talking about is the footage that aired that did nothing for you. There's no positive outcomes from the AEW side. Tony Schiavone's face said it all on Wednesday night. Said it all. And now you got conflicting reports coming out. Oh, it was the Young Bucks wanted to air it, and Will Ospreay wanted to give that promo. And then there's conflicting reports saying no, they didn't want nothing to do with it. The Bucks didn't want to air the footage. They moved on and were past it. Ospreay didn't want to go out there and give the promo, but Tony Khan said, "Nope, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going."
I'm actually surprised because usually anytime Tony's asked about anything regarding this, he always says, due to legal stuff, I can't talk about it.
I got an NDA on it.
He never discusses anything. So for them to do this actually really surprised me because of him usually not wanting to discuss it ever.
My time I was tuning more for the brawl out footage, or whichever one's the Bucks and
we're not going to get the Omega Punk fight with Larry the Dog and
you just service all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, you had people bickering over who was. Oh, well, Punk was in the wrong and he lied, and it was like, well, if you listen to Punk, he really didn't lie. The only thing he maybe embellished on was the fact that he said Perry came up to him, but he walked up to Perry in the video. But like, what he said on the
cracked me up with that was he said, like, I thought I was doing the responsible thing. Like, okay, you're definitely trying to spin it, but after watching that, it wasn't much different. Like that's a responsible thing, then you're just an idiot. But
I've seen some breakdowns and some recaps from older wrestlers, and they said, well, listen, like, there's unwritten rules, just like there's unwritten rules in baseball, right? Mm-hmm. If another guy is within 1 to 2 feet of your space, and they say, what are you going to do about it? And you don't do nothing about it, then the locker room's going to look at you a different way. And it's like, all right, well, that may be an old school mentality looking at things before, so shit may be handled differently. But at the same time, if it's an unwritten rule in baseball, there's probably unwritten rules in wrestling that are still outdated but are in effect. So, like, I don't know, man. It's nothing. Like, I was disappointed.
I mean, we talked about it even before, like after they announced it, and we said, it's basically a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Like you announced it, the hype was going to be around it, and that's all it was going to be. And then, of course, everybody felt it was a letdown. So
the only person that looked good in this was Joe.
I mean, Joe, Hook never broke character. He just stayed like Hook normally does.
Tyler wants to know what you're going to do about his shirt.
Waiting for the Hook signal.
when they air out of that brawl out footage.
And then and then Malachi Black was just casually walking around, just and it's like, yo, like
your boss was on the other guy's side of the computer, just sitting there doing nothing.
So
could have stopped it to begin with.
I get. I mean, Chris Hero may have had the greatest reaction of all, and they said he did the "oh no" Cassius "oh no" on his head like this and walked away. Like, but I mean, Tony fearing for his life. Like, okay, I could see Punk lunged at the table a little bit, but who knows what he said verbally. But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. Like, it just did nobody any favors. Like, nothing at all. For what? For what?
I thought it hurt Jack the most, but I feel like I guess he's leaning into it.
It didn't hurt Jack the most. Did you see clips of him last night in Chicago?
Yeah, it didn't hurt him at all.
He came out there and got the biggest heel pop, but they booed him out of the world. He had the Cry Me a River on the back of the leather jacket, walked out with the CM Punk flag. I mean, okay, great, but here's the problem with that. CM Punk's no longer in your company.
Exactly.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do on Dynamite? You're going to walk out there with a CM Punk flag?
Yeah, there's no payoff for it. I did see someone, Leany McMeany on Twitter. He posted an alternate video the other day of Jack Perry's like Titantron video, but made out of Living Colors Punk theme song. I was just like, if he comes out to that at some point, like the crowd would eat that shit up too. But to go against what you're saying, Steve, there's no payoff. So what's the point of doing it?
Forbidden door.
Yeah. Can't do anything about it. I mean, everybody over there is complaining about Punk and all that stuff, but Tony was the one who fired him. You didn't have to fire him. It's all a moot point to me.
Then if you go to CM Punk's side from that interview, he said he wanted to get let go, the year before.
Now this is pretty good. That's pretty good. That may be the best booking idea you gave on this show. I mean,
technically, shouldn't they be a tag team since they're both against him?
Well, there's been stuff coming out that Cabana tried to talk to Punk whenever he was there, and Punk told him he'd only talk to him with lawyers.
Yeah, I saw
that. I was more impressed with the promo FTR came out and cut afterwards. Like, Cash said it best. What are we doing still talking about this? We're here to move on. Like, why are we doing this?
I mean, isn't that what the Young Bucks said 2 years ago?
And that I will take legitly. Everything else, I'm not taking nothing at all. It's just all antics, NDA, this and that. It's just a bunch of bullshit. It is.
Shivani lived through the downfall of WCW. He was there
and he sees it.
For Jody Bagwell and the Pull Match and David Arquette and Russo, and go on down the line in the list. Somebody put a list together of, and how AEW is aligning to that.
He's part of it too.
He wanted to be anywhere else in the entire world but in that seat when they aired that footage on Wednesday night. And you can't have your on-screen commentators or any on-screen talent for that matter looking that dejected and please take me anywhere else but here during your live broadcast of your show.
Yeah, man, Renee.
Yeah, like how awkward was Renee whenever Ospreay hit the grinding line?
Yeah.
Grinding. Like, what do you
Your band sounds like Kevin Nash's book and everything.
And don't get me wrong, like I popped for the grinding line. Like I was like, okay, cool. But at the same time, it's like, yo, Will, do you know that he was legitimately referencing you?
No.
I didn't see the part of it. From what I saw, it was that he referenced. Someone asked him about Ospreay, and that was his.
No, he talked about the if you don't want to be here, if you want to go somewhere else and take a lighter schedule and work less dates, and you're not here for the grind, then I'm okay with not signing you. I don't want you. And he said that on McAfee's show on Friday.
But yet, whenever people would ask him about Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns' light schedule, not doing it, he was like, well, wouldn't you do it?
Well, and that's the thing. And it's like,
well, they built up equity, though.
That's earned.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you go like Ospreay said, he wanted this schedule because his family didn't want to leave the UK, so he can commute to the US to do a show and then do that.
And that's a hell of that's a harder grind every single week.
Yeah.
You're flying 8 to 10 hours after wrestling and everything else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but
I respect him for it.
Prayers to him for hopping on a 737 nowadays, going back and forth across the Atlantic with everything Boeing got going on. Like, you couldn't catch me on a flight right now. If it's not within driving distance, I'm not going nowhere right now. I'm not getting on a plane with all the shit that's going on. But at the same time, if you wanted to address Hunter and say you did take it personal and say you did think it was about you, you could have went another direction besides the grinding line just to get a shock and awe pop.
That's all for that was.
They would say, "Oh, hey Trips, about your boy Kevin Nash and Scott Hall taking lighter schedules for a better payday. You gonna knock them for not wanting to do the grind? Hey Trips, what about your boy Sean Waltman? Didn't he come over, go somewhere else for a lighter schedule, more money, less dates?" Like you could have went a different direction besides, oh, you were banging the boss's daughter. When everybody knows that they've been married for what, 20 years now?
20 years, yeah.
I
would have been like,
yeah.
Go, Jason.
It was just bad timing.
It's a promo.
You don't do it the same day.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't be J. Cole in 7-minute drill, apologize, and then come out and drop another diss track. You can't do that. You can't be AEW and say, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about this. We moved on from Punk. Oh, wait, we're going to air the footage because you talked to Ariel Helwani. And then Ospreay dropping another diss track. Like, it don't work.
If I'm Hunter, I would have been like, yeah, I was begging the boss's daughter, and guess what? I still am, too. I'm a lucky guy.
That's peak Steph McMahon.
Definitely. Like, I still am. Congratulations. You got me. Oh, boy. You hurt. Good promo, guy.
Their AEW is wanting to cash in on the wrestling beef, on the wrestling pettiness, with a guy that's no longer there. And we said this way back when they suspended Punk the first time. If you want to make money as a company and as a business, and you want to draw houses and everything else, you put that on screen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Matt and Edge. We talked about Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett. Those are the two of the biggest examples in pro wrestling of real life getting in the way. Both surrounding a female. This had no female involvement, but Will wants to bring a female into it. It was the first time when I sat back and I looked at AEW and was like I was like a disappointed father. It was like a kid letting me down, not doing something in a way that they know better that they shouldn't be doing it. It's like, yo, you know you can't vape at school, but yet you get caught vaping in the bathroom and get suspended for 3 days. Like, what are we doing?
You look like local indie promotion out there.
This week I thought, everybody was referencing WCW 2001 with this. I actually thought this is more like TNA Dixie this week, that you have someone that's in charge that shouldn't be in charge, and you're not doing anything about it. It's like, no matter what's going to, like, the talent now should be going to Tony and just be like, listen, we need better structure here. If you have enough talent complain about it, maybe he'll listen. Or maybe you got to go to the old man who's the money for the company and get a change that way too. I don't know. But just like whenever they were trying to get Paul Heyman and they were trying to get Jim Ross to go to TNA to help out TNA, and the family was just like, no, Dixie's still in charge. We're going to bring you in, but Dixie's still going to have control over everything. That's the same thing it is right now with Tony. Like, nothing's going to change unless something changes with Tony.
Again, Dynamite was not that bad of a show Wednesday night.
The past few Dynamites haven't been a bad show.
Like I like what they're doing with Swerve and Joe. I like that story. Like I said, Copeland with his open challenge and him and Penta put on a hell of a match. You got, now you got Willow and Julia Hart in the fold with the House of Black versus Copeland, so you can set up an intergender match and everything else. Like, okay, you can see the layers being built for that. So okay, now you got like your secondary title involved in a story now. Like, you're doing some things good. You're not necessarily doing anything great right now. You're doing some things good, which is better than where you were at. And you just cheddar bobbed yourself and shot yourself in the foot on Wednesday night. Like, Wednesday night should be like, if you look up Cheddar Bob besides Cheddar Bob from 8 Mile, that's the picture that's next to it. It's Cheddar Bob and then Tony Khan's face holding up a VHS of CTV.
I saw something else this week with AEW that kind of reminded me. I think this was partially done due to wrestling pettiness. So they've released their whole pay-per-view schedule for the rest of the year. And so through September, it's all Sunday events, because a lot of it WWE has put on Saturdays. So I think they did this specifically because October, November, and December's pay-per-views, they're back on Saturdays. And I think they did that specifically because WWE hadn't booked anything yet.
Well,
just like we're the ones that did Saturday pay-per-views originally, so they were trying to get back into it too, I think.
Well, they never should have moved off of Saturdays to begin with.
Right,
exactly. Right. That was their niche.
Yeah.
It was.
And now it's WWE's niche, and I feel good about it. Great about it.
Yeah, cool. You got like TNA has taken over Friday pay-per-views. New Japan, when they've done their shows here in the States, like last night, they go on Fridays. Cool. If there's a pay-per-view booked that same week for WWE, great. You whet my appetite waiting for the WWE pay-per-view on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a lot that went down last night. You had SmackDown, you had Rampage, and Rampage was surprisingly a decent show for it being Rampage.
I watch it.
But nobody cares or is talking about it. And then you had the New Japan Strong show. Don't hate. Back one.
I mean, just because one promotion has a Saturday booked, don't mean you could use another Saturday in that month.
Yeah.
And why do they do it the same weekend? Like, you can change it up.
Like, wow.
Yeah, there are 3 other Saturdays in a month.
There are 3 other Saturdays in a month. People are stupid as hell.
Like,
oh, you took my Saturday. God damn it.
But I think they did it because like WWE did that against them. Like, they had their, Labor Day weekend show, and the WWE was like, no, we're gonna do a Labor Day weekend show too.
Okay, that's good wrestling pettiness. Great. But at the same time, like, you don't fold up shop and take your party to the next Sunday and then come back 2 years later and go, no, you know what? We want Saturdays back. No. You bowed out. You apologize. You J. Cole'd yourself.
Whatever. And that's why they're in the position they're at.
Somebody said AEW won't be around in 2026.
Yeah, man, they might not even be here next year.
They'll be here.
They'll be here.
Yeah.
But listen, the other thing that you got to do, whoever's your event coordinator, I don't know how far out in advance that they're booking these venues, but stop booking 10,000 seat arenas if you're only going to put out 2,500 tickets.
Tony has brought that up. I forget the last one that I saw, and he said, they are pretty far booked out in advance, but I agree. That's something that by the end of this year, I think we should at least be seeing a change in that.
Go do your Hammersteins. Go do, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's plenty of smaller venues. Go to these college campuses, like when they come to
that are legendary. Yeah.
like go into some of those and just fill up 4,000 or 5,000 if you can get it. They can't even get that consistently now. Live Gate, they're floating around, 1,800 to 2,500 on a weekly basis, maybe scratching 3.
Come to court time. Sell that bitch out.
And the crowd on Wednesday was like the crowd Wednesday, Charleston. I don't know, man. That crowd was like so hit or miss. At times, I felt like I was watching a WWE event show because they were just sitting there not saying anything, and then other times they were up and like, and it's just like, you've been around for what, 5 years now? You should know where your markets are and where you're hot and cold at.
Yeah.
And you should stay away from where you're cold at because it doesn't come across on TV. And you only go to certain areas. Well, yeah, because we're hot there. So until we can get the buzz back up and actually start drawing 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 people again, then I'm gonna stick to my hot markets. Exactly. Business 101.
You see that with the pay-per-view schedule.
Exactly.
And the pay-per-view schedule, they had their lowest. They had their lowest interest in Double or Nothing for pre-sales that they had this week in Vegas. And Vegas typically is not a hot wrestling market. Mm-mm. They got criticized when they went there for Double or Nothing to begin with.
To me, it's I don't need AEW to have monthly pay-per-views. I'd rather have them go back to quarterly events.
Yeah, the 4 they had.
Yeah. Mm. And then you build up to those cards, and hopefully there will be interest built into those cards.
They got what, eight on the books for the rest of the year?
Yep.
Not counting
the special shows.
Well, counting Dynasty, they got 9. Because they released everything after Dynasty.
Right now, the only month that they don't have something planned is July. So that could be a Ring of Honor that month, or maybe they're just taking a month off. All right. So we got into a lot of the wrestling pettiness. Started off on some negative, so let's go into some positive. Who wants to kick things off? The positive for this week for them.
I'll save mine and see if anybody else brings it up.
All right, I'll go.
I'll go. Okay.
I didn't watch much wrestling this week. Other stuff was going on, but R-Truth segment as a whole with the Judgment Day on Monday, hilarious.
Yeah.
Whenever Rhea and Damian put their belts up, and then Truth just popped out and put his hip in the middle, I lost it. And to me, I thought that was the whole Mount Rushmore for the week.
Damian hit him. Oh, hell no.
And that there was pure gold.
And then Michael Cole and Pat just talking about R-Truth just living his best life, getting a tag with his childhood hero.
So good.
And I love whenever they would do their match, they was like the 3-on-2 handicap like the whole time until Zeta came out. But yeah. But again, we mentioned this before. R-Truth is just national treasure.
Yeah.
He's gold.
That win of Mania was well deserved for him.
Him and Miz don't need a long run with the belts. Like, when you want to get serious again, but while they have it, I'm gonna just pop for what Truth comes up with.
And then that
with him in the Judgment Day, cool.
And then that meme that popped up with the whole Judgment Day belt status, and they had Truth in there and all of his 24/7 titles at the bottom.
What was he finalized total?
56.
They said again. They said 54, 56 around there.
I think it was his age. However old Truth is,
it was the same.
But yeah, that was my Mount Rushmore this week.
All right, Donald popping for comedy wrestling this week.
Jason, go ahead.
Mine goes to NXT. Jevon Evans, formerly known as Jay Malachi, I do believe. New kid on NXT. He's a little high flyer, bouncy guy. He was real good last night. He looks good in the ring, and he put him up against Script, which was a good high flying kind of match. Like, to me, he feels like he has the spots.
He should be on speed. He feels like he should be on speed.
No, don't pick
3-minute high flying, no selling matches. Put him on speed.
Don't pigeonhole him. They were selling.
No,
he reminds me like his fluidity is like, to me, he reminds me like a Ray Phoenix.
Okay.
Like his fluidity in the ring. Like when you see Ray go, it's like nonstop, no pause, no let me set up. He's just straight fluid in the ring. He looked real good.
He looked like a young Osprey. That's what he looked like. Some of his moves he was doing was like Osprey-ish, especially with that cutter bounce off the rope he was doing.
Yeah.
That delay thing. I was like, "Oh, that looks familiar."
Now he got to work.
He don't do it no more, but
he got to work on the finish a little bit because it just looked like he did a little corkscrew spin and landed on top of the guy. We got to make that look a little bit more impactful.
And then he landed on his face too.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw, there was a lot, like, stuff popped off on the timeline. There was stuff yesterday with internet trolls with a microphone talking about him and referencing what he is from something that we're not going to bring up and talk about that was around many moons ago.
Yeah.
And then there was the other internet troll with bashing Denise Salcedo. Like, just because you got a microphone and you stooges.
Come on, Tackle.
Yes, Tackle, on exactly what you spelled out in the comments, which we're not going to reference. But look, like, you want to get on here and you want to bash people to try to get pops and clicks and likes, to get people to jump on your stuff to make it seem like you're more famous or you're more active than what you are. You're not going to see the four of us chill out like that. Okay? We got our audience that watches the show each and every single week, and if we continue to grow, we continue to grow. But if not, the people that come here and listen to us, we're going to entertain you for the hour and a half plus that we're on each and every single week. I'm not going to get on here and bash somebody else, man or woman, whether they're in the ring, and bash them to that regards on a personal level. We'll critique the work. That's what we have a show for. Or somebody that's in wrestling journalism, whatever you want to say that is, that's more successful than the four of us on this show. I'm not going to knock her for it.
But you're here. That's all that counts.
Glad we got into your routine for every Saturday morning, though.
That irked me. Like, I saw that yesterday, and I'm like, man, like, what? Like, not everybody deserves a microphone. Hell, we probably don't deserve a microphone, right? Like, people are gonna look at us and go, well, "What are you in for, dumb marks now?"
Everybody wants to
come back and then I come back and say, "What do you know?" I'm just as fan as much as you.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe 36 years of watching pro wrestling has, factors into why I get on a microphone every single week and talk about it. But yeah, that's just annoying me. Like, the dude had a good debut. Like, why? Like,
yeah,
he gave a different presentation. He definitely got to hit the weights down in NXT. Like, he's skinnier than Jason.
Ho. Wow, I'm not skinny.
You're not skinny. Okay.
Y'all acting like I'm real thin.
Compared to the three other people on the show,
come on. All right. Okay.
You're fat at heart. I'll give you that.
You're the only dude on the show that when he orders a shirt, there's not an X in front of it.
Hey. I'm not paying the upcharge for the extra X. I'm not paying fat man tax.
How much do they charge extra for the X now?
It's like $2, maybe $3.
I'll find out if Pro Wrestling Tees changed theirs whenever I order tack on shirt. I'll get back to you.
You better be a large tack on.
Taquan, you make it a medium. Make it a medium out there.
All right, Steve, what was yours for the week?
So initially, I was going to come in here and give Penta and Adam the nod, just because I really enjoyed their match. Raw had a few things, but I'm going with one of the more obvious things that has been a Mount Rushmore on this show for the last 4 years: the Bloodline. It immediately got me hooked again last night, right off the bat. I saw the rumors. People spotted Tama Tonga. He put out the little cryptic phone. He put a red phone out, so he swerved. It wasn't a blue phone. He put out a red phone, so people were thinking he was going to show up on Monday. But no, you bring in Tama Tonga, you take out Jay. You don't know what's going on. It's Solo with a coup right now. He's taking over, right? He's the new tribal chief because Roman's gone. The Rock's not there. Did The Rock order it because Roman lost? So you're building towards that.
The final boss.
Did Roman actually order it because he is the tribal chief? Or are we getting Solo, Tama, and at some point Jacob Fatu?
Exactly what I was thinking.
I thought everybody was coming yesterday.
If we get Solo, Tama, and Jacob Fatu, then you could immediately go Bloodline versus Bloodline, and you could have Roman, Jay, and Jimmy reunite. And you're right back where you started with the initial Bloodline. So I'm here for all this to play out. I'm right back in hook, line, and sinker. Let's go.
Man, that's almost sounded like NWO Black and White versus Wolfpack.
Yeah.
With better storytelling.
No, but better story. Yes, I'm not better storytelling.
Your bloodline's red. My bloodline's blue.
The only thing I had, it wasn't an issue. Was like if that WrestleMania match would have been better, the pop for them to reuniting, they still gonna be good, but the pop for them to reuniting would have been epic. Jimmy and Jay. Yeah, that was the only thing I was thinking.
But like we say every week, Paul Heyman's reactions to everything yesterday was
he sold it. Like him crying after, like in the back.
After in the back,
crying at the door. Yeah, crying. You know,
like that's where I'm interested in seeing. Like, I think Paul's going to play this, hostage situation now for a little bit, but I can't wait.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah,
it's perfect. He plays scary real good.
Yeah.
Call Roman Reigns.
Solo ripping the phone out, stepping on it. And then after they took Jay out, Solo walks over to Heyman in the corner. Heyman's like, "Oh, please no."
Yeah.
And then he like
put your finger up.
Oh, shaking ass arm, trying to get the just, yeah. I'm here for it. Like, let's go. The triple threats last night were good. The outcomes were obvious, based on what they've done. So okay, cool. But yeah, I'm right back in on a Bloodline train. Let's go. Strap in. We're here for another around the world trip.
I see people hating on that already.
Yeah, like what did they don't, how do they not know the ties?
Undertaker and Kane are brothers, right? In real life.
Edge and Christian. Not really brothers.
Storyline.
No, because everybody got to be right about everything.
Yeah, but
they just can't watch.
If I show up in the Bloodline, goddamn it, I'm Samoan.
But you bring in Jacob Fatu, and you have
Yokozuna was Japanese all those years.
But you act like Haku was never involved with the Samoan dynasty, and he was
exactly
he was the Islanders with Sam Fatu. Like, who is Jacob Fatu's dad? Like, what are we talking about here?
Nobody does research. Nobody does research.
No, but they're right back to having me pay attention to the Easter eggs and the Marvel drops because, I wasn't. I was expecting Tama to show up last night, but I was not expecting him to show up and take out Jimmy.
No.
So when that happened, and Solo was the initiator of it, I'm like, all right, let's go. Right back on the train.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of after WrestleMania 14. You know, like whenever Triple H then had to take over DX and rebuild it. So it's like, okay, here we go. Now Solo's doing the same thing.
And what did Roman call Solo? The heir apparent, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said that how many months ago?
Mm-hmm.
So we're again, you gotta pay attention. Like, yeah, I'm coming, Taquan. And TNA was a good show this week. They're building up their rebellion card for next Friday with some good match announcements.
They're on next Saturday.
Oh, they're on Saturday?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, they that card's shaping up really good. We'll predict that card next week.
Yeah. Mine for the week. Donald, this isn't going to come any surprise to you because me and you were talking about this one the other day, but I got to give it to the debut of Mina Shirakawa on AEW. And all it made me think of was I need to start watching Stardom.
Yo, you're worse than Max Caster. Max tweeted out the gif of them two kissing in the ring, and he was like, AEW was a great show tonight.
I didn't see that. But in all seriousness, part of my reason for bringing this up was AEW announced Forbidden Door, for the summer again this weekend. They did not specifically say it's AEW versus New Japan. I said this a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go all in on it. It should be AEW versus Stardom for the next Forbidden Door. Change it up a little bit.
There's still a lot to play out on that Stardom side of the thing.
Yeah.
Because, Julia and Rose Nagawa at Mania.
Not going to confirm or deny.
Chris has never met a Chinese restaurant he doesn't like taco.
There's a comeback for every goddamn thing.
Right.
Yeah. He's hitting up every Japanese steakhouse at the mall. Okay. The only thing is like you could tell that the crowd didn't know.
Of course they did.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only thing. Like you could tell, like New Japan, people watch New Japan. Like Stardom is so, not that they're so like left of center as far as people watching everything, but if you're watching Stardom on a regular basis, you're a true wrestling nerd.
Yeah.
Like, you are in it. So that kind of threw people off. But at the same time, like, hell of a way to debut.
I heard the event that they did WrestleMania weekend here was great. So I think I'm gonna try to go back and watch it.
I didn't want to. I'm not killing people like that. Not one. Still trying to keep the peace in 2024. Right? But yes, that would be another way to describe them, Taquan. And for those of you that cannot see the comments, I'm not going to reference what Taquan called them, but put two and two together when it comes to wrestling nerds, and you'll figure out what word he used, what adjective he used to describe them. But no, and then look, that does what? It adds another layer to that whole story, right? Now you got her in the fool with Mariah and Tony. You saw Tony throw the toast in the Thunder Rosa's face. You had Deanna come out, and Rosa, blinded by the champagne, couldn't see that it was Deanna. So now you got to beat them. So
swipe her off, yeah.
In one segment, you got 5 women writing one story. Okay, cool. Now what can you do with it? What can you get me to keep coming back and stay tuned in for it?
They'll show you backstage. Yeah, Ben, they'll show you backstage footage or something.
We go right back to GTV.
Exactly.
Now, my only thing with the AEW versus Stardom pay-per-view, Chris, for Forbidden Door, if you just make it a women's one like that, I don't know what they'll do numbers-wise.
I thought about, how we've talked about the previous all-women pay-per-view, but
so I'm not mad at it. There's enough on both sides of the board to
Yeah.
lay out a card that would be very interesting and very compelling from a match sequence wise.
I just feel like going into Forbidden Door, like we talked about this, like what matches would really get you excited, for a New Japan right now with so many talents that have moved over. Now last night changed things. John Moxley won the New Japan title last night, so that could be something, where they go with this. But at this point, I would just like to see something different. And I think, having an all-woman pay-per-view, how many times have AEW fans won that a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they have to build up their AEW got to build up their women's roster. I mean, they have the women, they just got to build them up.
Yeah.
Could you?
They do.
Yeah.
Could you do why wouldn't you do it?
Taking a phone call right on air. You're taking it on air, like stays on camera and just no one's watching this shit anyway, so I'll just take a phone call.
Like, why would you do like a filler and do like a whole show dedicated to the women ahead of a pay-per-view, maybe?
So do like a Dynamite, this whole show of women.
That or like I don't want to say Rampage because it's only an hour.
Yeah.
But like work those shows and see how it tests out, and then do a whole paper.
I mean, we'll see maybe in the coming weeks if anybody else debuts or if this is
like
this is
SmackDown has the Mania before the SmackDown WrestleMania or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That just feels like a kickoff to the pay-per-view.
Oh, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I would do that with like people who are on the card, but that's not in the main event picture, and just do an all-women show right before the pay-per-view.
Or even
that's not a bad idea there.
To help out, seeing as Stardom and New Japan have a working relationship, do a few matches. So don't do all New Japan matches. Do a few Stardom and a few New Japan matches.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry we bothered your phone call. Like, I know we have a show to do, but your personal time. Yeah.
Let's see. My wife and daughter are with my sister-in-law and her nephew. They drove out. My sister's or my wife's nephew prom is coming up, senior prom. Well, they took a little road trip to drive out to Ohio today to look for tuxedos. Don't ask me why they drove to Ohio to look for tuxedos.
for tux. Hey,
I'm not going to
open.
Yeah. So they drove out to Ohio, right? And my wife and daughter went with them this morning, which is cool. So I'm at the crib to myself, right? Nice little day/afternoon by myself. Get on the pod, great. But I get a text that says, "Call me, please." And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know exactly how far away, but you're more than, half hour, 45 minutes away right now. Like, so I had to call and she answers like, "I didn't mean to make it urgent. I apologize." I'm like, well, okay, there you go. Thanks a lot. So, Mary, mistake number one was me actually thinking it was an emergency. Second was she just cut like a 3-minute promo on this store that they're in right now. And I'm not going to name the store, but they are not happy right now. They are not happy right now. So,
And he said that I'm the shit show on this show.
yeah. Well, my bad, Taquan. I forgot all you single bums. I told you we were originally going to call this podcast "Married with Single Friends," but we didn't think that would go over in the wrestling world, covering wrestling. But so needless to say, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with my wife when she gets back. Yo, if I'm potting and it's something urgent, you got to put urgent in all caps or something. We got to come up with a code word because you can't just send me that text and make me think, oh, you're like 2.5 hours away. I don't know what's going on. I get a call me, please. Like,
Steve gets pineapples. Oh, I gotta leave.
Tune in next week for next week's mush.
Oh, that's low hanging fruit.
Yes, the man called me.
You can't use that.
You can't use that. That's low hanging fruit. That's worse than AEW airing the footage.
You probably beat my ass.
So, Steve, while you got the mic, what was the low point of the week for you?
I really want to get on here, and I'm not. We already talked about AEW, right? So I'm not gonna low point that. There was enough there to low point it. I don't know, man. Like I I was so happy coming out of WrestleMania weekend, just because we got so much good wrestling across the board and everything. Like I really wasn't looking for the negatives this week besides AEW. So I'm not gonna pinpoint one thing this week for a mush. AEW is an obvious one. So if you're doing a recap, you can just kind of mark me down for that. But yeah, other than that, I'm not gonna bury anything this week. We had a good week in pro wrestling, a lot of positives out there, a lot of good wrestling. You know, we're picking back up with good stories. So I'll keep it there.
I figured they were gonna go with the AEW stuff, so I just picked some little stuff. One was the people in Philly missing the "You Can't See Me" chant. Like we haven't been watching this man for 15 years do it. Trash. How do you miss the timing on that? And two was so Mercedes Moné got attacked backstage on AEW, and there's a clip of her moaning on the ground, going around Twitter, and the amount of bookmarks it has is out of hand. Ridiculous. Just for the moan.
Says the man who has it bookmarked, apparently.
It just came across my screen.
Just messing with you.
For me, I have NXT as a whole, minus the Scripps match with the new guy. You got your natty title match. I don't know what's worse, her getting a title match on everything, just like Archer and Nyla Rose. Anytime a new champ is here, she got to get the first title shot. The Kalani Fallon versus James and Izzy, that should have been on Stand and Deliver.
True.
Should have been there. Should have been on the show. Axiom and Frazier getting their title win on TV. They should have got on Stand and Deliver also. It's just, and then having AOP and Cross come beat them up. I was like, did AOP and Cross get a demotion? I was like, I thought they were doing stuff.
AOP's in the number one contenders match for the SmackDown tag team titles next week.
Yeah, it was
They
like I
unify
thought
the belts together.
Yeah, I thought they were on SmackDown. What are they doing now? NXT just beating people up. Just don't.
This thing is just sparked around the draft.
Is that what it is?
Because apparently NXT is going to be a part of it too. Like they can pick somebody.
Okay.
They've had a couple of picks the past couple of years. So
And then I'm highly not interested in Trick and Mello in a cage match next week. Like you had your blood feud at Stand and Delivered. Mello should be gone. I don't want to see them go at it again. To be honest.
To reference Jason's comment, that's how I felt like that's why they added it. They're going to use Mello for the draft. It's like you already had Braun drafted to SmackDown like before the draft. For whatever reason, you did that, but that's why I figure that's why they're just hanging on to him just one more week.
I will say if you, since you brought up NXT and that, it did remind me, because after the 48-minute Rock and Cody promo segment on Monday, Shinsuke Nakamura like losing a 4-minute TV match to Ilya Dragunov. Like
those two men did not deserve a 4-minute match.
No.
Why are you putting Nakamura in that spot?
Yeah. And I like his whole nightmare gimmick and that stuff, but that nightmare gimmick produced 0 wins every time he talks about, I'm taking you to the nightmare. 0 wins. 0 wins.
Yeah.
It's not like Triple H doesn't know how to, produce Shinsuke. He did a great job with him in NXT. So is it the creative that doesn't know what to do with him, or what?
That gimmick is just as bad as Frankie Kazarian's the Elite Hunter. He never won against the big Elite Hunter, but he won against like Brandon and all the small timer ones.
We're not gonna go that far.
No. We go that far. You can't take somebody to the nightmare and not win. You can't be an Elite Hunter and not knock off any of the top lieutenants or the general. Nah, same gimmick.
You had Ivar come out of character.
Hey, yo, give me that version.
But I'll take that match. I will take that match.
I want to see that match, but I was like, hold on, you're a vacuum writer. Get out there and
forget the Viking stuff. Give me the Hell's Angel version of Ivar. Give me that dude.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the Damo dude from Chaos when I first seen him pop out. I don't know. I forget what his real name was. Was it Wild?
Vanity. You thought it was.
Hey, at least they're letting him talk.
Yeah.
I will say my 1B for Mount Rushmore that just absolutely popped me last night was Kevin Owens doing the walking promo with the camera shot and him knocking over CM Punk's t-shirts. That was like such a insider baseball moment, but it was just so great.
Right next to his t-shirts, like, get these away from me.
Yeah, he's like, oh hey, can I do the walking? Where they the long shot where they follow you from the here to the ring? Yeah, sure. All right, give me a mic. And he's talking like, come on, let's go. And then he just sees the Punk shirts and pushes them off the table. It's great stuff. And then he was like, here, Jamie, catch this mic. Bruce, hit my music.
It was good last night. SmackDown actually wasn't bad.
Yeah. SmackDown was great. Like, I feel we talked about this on Monday when
Jason
we were
had
live.
brought up what was that last week that SmackDown had just not been what it's been. So it was nice to see a decent SmackDown again.
But we talked about on Monday whenever we did our night 2 recap and watched the first segment of Raw that the Raw after Mania has kind of been a letdown these last couple of years, but they've split it up over 2 nights. Where like before you would get all the surprises and everything on Raw, but now it's split up. So when you look at it as a whole, there was a lot of stuff done. But SmackDown definitely for me was more interesting just because of everything that played out.
Yeah,
I had Raw because you had the surprises. You had the Roxanne, you had the Ilya, and it felt like SmackDown was like more of a continuation of storylines. Still good though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Right.
I will say, going back and watching the 45-minute Rock promo, it wasn't as bad as us watching with no audio.
I agree.
No. And I saw, this is where the internet is great because they picked out the freaking Cody Rhodes Rock promo from 10 years ago where Cody comes to the ring and is like, hey, Rock, I want to look at your title. And he climbs in and, it's when Rock was WWE champ and he's looking at it. He's manifesting that he's going to be WWE champ. So the whole back and forth of, hey, let me see your title. Let me hold your title. Like they played off of that, but nobody's going to remember that promo from 10 years ago.
No.
Unless the internet pulls it back up. But somebody on the internet did. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because then it was like, oh, okay,
that was that forced Marvel Easter egg. Yeah, you didn't know about this, so we're just going to link it up,
Yeah.
It's been on my timeline since he became the final boss, so I've seen it every week. Yeah.
Hey, Taquan, you don't get the quote. You can't pull the Cody using Brandy's line like he did last night on SmackDown. Okay, heifer. All right.
All right. Mine for the week. I'm gonna even before it happens, I'm just gonna highlight Battle of the Belts tonight. It's the 10th Battle of the Belts. And the reason being, you're running monthly events now. You don't need this stupid
Battle
show.
to retain.
You can't. You're putting mushes. You're putting mushes on the show.
I got 2 things. Yeah.
Happen? That should be next week's gripe. It's everything that happens post this show goes on for next week.
He's predicted.
Yeah.
You know what
it's gonna be. So the only positive to the show that I'm actually looking forward to is Athena's actually going to be on the AEW program. She's defending.
Nobody's going to watch it because it's on Saturday night after Collision.
Like at least they're using her for something different instead of just on Ring of Honor because that's the.
Why should be the first one to lose?
That would be messed up.
After the banger her and Sheeta had at ROH last Friday.
And then I'm also going to give the AEW zoom in and out. It reminded me of ECW hard cam days. Like we can't zoom out any further. Like I don't know who was producing those segments this week with those zoom in and outs? But that was
Mansuri.
terrible.
Isn't that Mansuri? Isn't he the Kevin Dunn protege?
That was worse than whenever Kevin Dunn, whenever you every time you punch somebody and you move the cam.
Yeah, this is our swing. Remember?
They heard Triple H talking about bigging up what's his name in the WrestleMania press conference about the production changes and everything else and how good it's been, and they got a whole lot more to show as far as new ways that they're going to shoot stuff. And AEW was like, you know what? We're gonna zoom in and zoom out. Like they got a handheld VHS tape recorder. like I'm 9 years old recording Christmas Eve at my grandma's house. Playing with
Tell me what you got.
Yeah, like let me zoom in on this present as it gets unwrapped, and then I'll pan back out and see everybody's reaction. Like I'm Quentin Tarantino at 9 years old. Old shaky ass hand too.
The big shoulder thing.
Just went right back to the ECW days whenever I was watching that.
Like I'm Channel 4 News outside on the street, walking around with the ass camera. What are we doing? Zoom in, zoom out.
The brawling in the crowd. That's as far as we go.
So like WWE's using AI and AEW is like, you know what? We're gonna go back to MySpace and put up 5 songs. we're gonna be innovative in that way.
Did they use a telestrator on Dynamite?
We're gonna give you a hotline to call for the breaking news.
Did they use a telestrator or was that a meme?
They're still using 1-900 numbers. WWE got everybody FaceTiming in for breaking.
Oh.
Yeah, that was bad.
All right, anything else for the week?
I got things in quick hits after we do a game here.
Okay. We're going to kind of veer off instead of a normal game. Tonight's UFC 300, so I kind of wanted to talk about that, see if there are any fights you guys are interested in, what you're looking forward to.
This is a football project. So when I come in and I don't have a game, I can just be like, hey, you want to talk about your Saturday last weekend?
How's that UFL game?
Yeah. Go off script. Look at Doc One calling you Ariel Hawani. Having wrestlers on the MMA hour. This guy.
NCAA's coming out in a month.
I will say I'm excited. Surely not that it. I don't watch UFC the way that I used to. Like I used to watch it
same here
nonstop. I was watching every single pay-per-view that they did. And now like I can't even remember the last UFC card I actually paid for and watched straight through, to be honest with you.
I think the last one I watched was a McGregor fight.
So like it's 300. It's a big show, obviously.
They're doing their normal promotion. This is the greatest fight card ever.
And the card is loaded. You know, what I'm going to be paying attention to more now based off of the press conference, Dana White upping in fight bonuses from 50,000 to 300,000.
Just for tonight, or
yeah,
okay,
just for the night because it's UFC 300. So
300. So you have throwing hands.
That means people will be out there throwing hands. So we're not going to get no. Oh, hey, let's link up and do a judo match. No.
Somebody get ass
in there looking for KOs.
All right, so Jason, we got 5 fights on this card for the main card.
Expecting heads,
and I know, like usual, whatever you pick for this, you're probably gonna get the most right on this card.
Red shoes.
So.
I haven't watched it in so long. I don't even know who these people are anymore.
Yeah, I have no clue, but I'll go with Cody just because Cody Rhodes. I'm a wrestling mark. There you go.
Is that Bo Nichols?
Dallas. Uncle Howdy.
Give me Bo Nickel.
Going with Bo. One Cody, one Bo. Donald.
What's their nicknames?
That's not nice.
What's your nickname?
I'm not sure what any of their
I have
nicknames
no
are.
idea. I'll go with the Cody guy.
I don't think anybody really knew Battle of the Belts was tonight because I didn't until Chris brought it up. I thought it was next Saturday.
They said, I think did they say it on Rampage?
They announced it
what
on
they do?
Dynamite.
On Dynamite, okay.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in the graphic.
Yeah. All right, we got a lightweight
Again,
fight.
Going up against UFC 300.
Yeah. They need to just. That's why it was on my message for the week. They just got to stop doing it.
Give me Charles Xavier.
Give me Oliveira.
Xavier.
You said Xavier.
Who'd you say, Steve?
Give me Oliveira.
Okay, so 2 for Charles.
Armin sound like a cool name, so Armin.
I'm gonna go with Armin as well. We got 2 and 2. So the next 3 are title fights. This one, title fight, BMF championship. Doesn't really mean shit. It's the FTW title.
Yeah, it's the FTW title of the UFC.
So they got unsanctioned belts on this place now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
The one
has
that
the
The
belt?
Rock brought out.
But WWE definitely seeped into them.
Who has the belt?
Justin Gaethje.
All right,
Max Holloway.
I'll go and Gaethje to retain.
Yeah, I'll go with Gaethje.
Yeah, so retain. Women's strawweight championship. They're kind of building this up. It's the first time China versus China in a title fight. So this is actually a big deal for these 2 fighters.
Yeah, and
Chris knows that name. Say him.
There was the announcement a little while ago about them linking the China UFC deal. So this is to kind of showcase that.
Quad style quad.
I don't even know if I'm gonna go into that.
I'll go with Zhang. I'll go with Zhang.
I'll go with
Yeah, I'm going with Zhang to retain.
Zhang Weili.
Yang.
And then the light heavyweight championship.
Give me Pereira.
Jamel Hill. And new. I'm going and new.
Pereira.
I think we're going to see a retain here too, but I guarantee Jason will probably be the one to
look for it
get
being
all those right.
for it being UFC 300. While the card the fight card itself lends to really good fights, hopefully based on matchups. It don't have the star power that a UFC 300 or UFC 250 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
remember the hype around UFC 100?
Well, remember 100? Yeah.
Like you don't have those. Like that's why it's like, yo, you had Sugar Sean fight on 299. Why not put him on 300? He's arguably your biggest star in the UFC right now.
Like, you think he'll save all those fights for this weekend?
Yeah.
You think?
Not saying that these guys aren't worthy, but at the same time, like it's just that extra star power is just not there for it to be a 300 or those earmarked pay-per-view milestones.
Do you feel like they passed the torch in UFC at all?
As far as
you just feel like the legends just fade away. They're not beat out of UFC. It's just like they just go off.
Well, that's the difference between UFC and
Yeah,
WWE.
because they can't fight no more.
You don't get the Ric Flair moment.
I'm saying like
you get the Chuck Liddell. My jaw's gone and everything it knocks me out. Like you don't.
That's it.
So like you're thinking like they lose the fight and like that next person's kind of like the next thing.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like that. Like this is my last fight. You take the title off me. Like just feel like they just drift off.
I mean,
they don't write the story, beforehand.
It's not the story, but
they don't. They don't. I mean, you can take in the fact like Holly Holm's still wrestling or not fighting. Like she's on the prelim card, and she's the one that knocked out Rousey. So it's like, but we are. Pretty much everybody else has gone away at this point. That was in that division at that time, but she's still going.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you do have those moments though. Like, well, St. Pierre just left and never came back, but like you have Amanda Nunes who went out as champ.
And Holm was made for a good minute after she beat Ronda.
Yeah.
Until her jaw went, and now she's fighting on prelims. She's fighting at 6:05 tonight. As soon as the doors open, ain't nobody gonna be in there. Like,
like Steve said, once your jaw goes, that's it for you.
Pretty much.
all right, Chris, thanks for getting us off wrestling games and stuff. UFC 300, you Logan Paul, Mark.
Exactly what I wanted to do.
The prime will be on the map for UFC.
Oh.
So, Steve, you said you had a couple other things. What else do you have?
Yeah, just a couple quick hitters in and around wrestling this week that I found were interesting. Heels, the star that was on shows, seasons 1 and 2 are going to be on Netflix. And if they do well on Netflix, there's potential to get a 3rd season. So I'm excited for it. I didn't have Stars, so I didn't watch Heels. I heard great things about it. So once it's actually up and on Netflix, I'll be going on Netflix to watch it.
First season was great. I didn't watch the 2nd season because it was canceled so quickly after it aired that I was just like, what's the point of finishing it at this point? But I might go back and watch that now.
Yeah. Paul Heyman's WWE Hall of Fame speech has over 27 million views across WWE digital and social platforms. It's the most socially viewed Hall of Fame moment of all time. But we talked about Heyman's speech.
Not Brett?
Last Saturday. No, more than Brett. More than Brett getting attacked. So
I got to go boost those numbers real quick. Refresh.
Going to be on rotating play for the next 7 days.
Jason, you're gonna have to make some new space on those shelves for new figures. TNA announced their line of new action figures.
It's already loaded. I can't.
That. So the first initial wave for action figures, it'll feature Eddie Edwards, Jordan Grace, Moose, and Josh Alexander.
Okay, Jordan Grace is worth it.
She had the tweet of the year, I think, so far, where she said, "This is the only chance you'll get to play with me." So I thought that was well done. Good twittering on her part there.
Did they say if it's going to be available in stores or?
Yeah. Hold on one second. I can tell you what company it was.
Jax.
No.
Power Town.
I never heard of them. Okay.
The graphic with the figures on it, they look
okay.
They look good.
Yeah, the figures look decent.
Yeah. So
okay.
I don't know if they're going to just be online only or if they're actually.
Yeah, you can pre-order them starting Monday. You can pre-order them. So
there'll be a revision in 2 months that we got to do.
Yeah, but shout out there, and then see what else did I have. And lastly, we talk about Cody and whether or not he was the right choice and everything else. He sold over $1 million worth of merchandise over WrestleMania weekend.
Probably all that damn jacket.
Everybody had that jacket. I'd like to know how much that jacket cost. That was a lot.
I don't know what the splits are for talent when it comes to merchandise, how much they make, right? But you got to figure you selling over $1 million worth of merch in one weekend, your year is going to look pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
a nice Mania bonus on top of what you're already going to get.
Yeah, that's
like Nick Kong will pounce on that.
Man,
making us money. That's all I care about.
Yeah, so we're gonna get everything, Cody. You're gonna have weight belts. You're gonna have everything under the sun coming out.
I need a Mama Rhodes.
Yeah, they just come off the.
Hey, look, if you can personalize a weight belt for Mother's Day, I'm on it.
Yo,
I'm sure there's a site you can do it. It's not gonna be WWE, but I'm sure you can do it.
We know somebody who could probably get that done.
Jason, just make sure Mother's Day is May 12th, so just make sure you record somebody as you're handing
whatever happens.
Mama Rose, Mama beats him with my tears on this belt.
I'm with my brother, like, look at you.
Look at your firstborn now.
Look at it.
Firstborn.
That.
tremendous.
Something that actually just came across my phone. I'm going to bring up if we want to talk about it or not. All of VKM's remaining TKO shares are up for sale.
You want to hop on and buy some?
Hell no.
Look, Taquan dropping fun facts. What do we got, Taquan? Maven, Mansoor, Mace.
Okay.
Is that on Maven's YouTube channel, Taquan? Because his YouTube channel is great.
Only thing I don't know now is Fanatics runs the WWE store, so now they're taking a cut.
Okay.
You know,
So it is on Maven's YouTube channel. All right, I'm gonna go on and check.
I might watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, because his YouTube channel is great. Shout out to Maven for, man. You want to talk about making a career out of just dumping the Undertaker over the top rope?
Yeah.
And he's done it everything outside of wrestling. He hasn't done it in the ring. It's all been outside after he left wrestling. Whether it was selling NFL blankets on the
QVC or whatever it was.
QVC or whatever it was that he had, and now he is one of the biggest YouTube channels. Yeah, shout out to Maven.
Hey,
keeping his name relevant out there.
Mm-hmm. He used it as a stepping stone.
Yep. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to episode 183. Make sure you follow us on Spotify and give us a listen on there. Follow us on all of our socials at DumbMarksPod. And purchase some merch, ProWrestlingTees.com/DumbMarksPod. And if we ain't got anything else, just grab the quote of the week here. And this week, I'm going to give you a quote by the WWE champion. When one good story ends, an even better one begins.
Really?
Such a mark.
Until next time, guys.